Bounding into Comics. And
which is a reliable news source that, only reads things factually, right? Right.
Yeah.
All these guys use it, so they must be reliable, right?
And it talks about, it speaks about comics, right?
Yeah.
If
They're
I want
totally
news
a comic book site, yeah.
If I want news about the news comics, right? That's where I go, because they bound into comics.
Yes.
Yep. The Famine Initiative will be covering Bounding into Comics regularly, as they monitor any and all instances of wokeness, which means marginalized people gaining an ounce of empathy or an inch of equity in entertainment. We will observe and report on their coverage. However, we are fair and reasonable. We merely believe media outlets and various fandoms should be honest with audiences. Let's call it ethics in comics journalism. We're extending an open invitation for John F. Trent to speak with us directly via live stream if he feels we've misrepresented him somehow. We'd also love to be able to report that Bounding into Comics, because this is really our biggest issue with them overall, that they've added clear disclaimers to the site, articles, its YouTube, etc. These disclaimers would be easily seen, perhaps in the header of each page, near the website name, for example. And so I did a mock-up here just as an olive branch. The latest comics news, reviews, and rumors from an authoritarian Christian perspective. I think that's fair. And we're not like trying to cancel them or like get their fucking website shut down or whatever stuff. Like, just be honest with your audience, because I'm fairly sure there's a lot of people that share this stuff and don't realize this about you.
Lots of people just sharing the headlines and stuff, just because most of your headlines, you're not going to see crap about how like the authoritarian Christian angle. You're not going to see that in the headline.
But I mean, that's what it is. So like, if just the regular coverage doesn't give it away with the attitudes, like the general or grave depravity when it's gay characters exist, then you can look up father in the search form, right? And you can find all these articles. There's way more than this, of just some priest like being consulted on this one. Father Mike Schmitz of YouTube's Ascension presents explains why God allows suffering using DC's injustice as an analogy. What is, you know what I mean?
The fuck is some Father Mike?
Who knows? Who is Archbishop Jose H. Gomez, who theorizes that new social justice and woke movements are pseudo-religions and replacements and rivals to traditional Christian? Like, what?
And what about Father David Wilton, who declares that wokeness is as old as the Bible itself, offers 3 steps to fight it?
Yeah,
what?
I don't know.
So yeah, there's literally no transgender quote unquote ideology, which is a dog whistle, by the way, but there's no transgender ideology in the show, because the show itself doesn't even cover anything about gender identity or sexuality or anything.
Right.
Which is why a lot of people in that space seem to love the show, because to them it does everything it needs to do. Plus, by the way, I think they were at the beginning, if you go back and you look at some of their earlier videos from some of the Chud channels, they weren't sure which direction the show was going to go. There was a lot of like astroturfing to see if people were going to accept it or they're not going to accept it. And then the show did really well, and they all of a sudden they couldn't grift negatively on it because their fans were supporting the show. So they shifted around and started talking positively about it, destroying Disney and destroying that, even though the show is extremely diverse. First of all, the show breaks down boundaries about men and women and their roles in society without being one of those like overt stories that typically the Chud channels will like latch onto. And yes, there is a transgender actor playing a cisgender character, which should be okay, because that doesn't push any transgender ideology for them,
right.
Which is why this is sort of, Bounding on Comics is like, fuck it, mask off at this point.
Yeah, it's just straight up saying that this person existing is an ideology, and it's pushing it, right? Like it's.
But it's also like One Piece isn't really the show that they can do it with, because the manga and the anime is for its whole run been one of the more progressive like mangas compared to a lot of its like competitors. Like it's deal with a lot of like pretty progressive themes and shit, and it even has in some of the newer stuff trans characters in it.
Yeah, Yamoto is a trans character.
Exactly, and I think one called like Kiku. Like
right.
Yeah, there are
So
transgender characters in it.
So this goes back against that narrative of being like they like to call normies, normies in a space, the people that don't know any better.
Mhm.
If they're arguing about One Piece having a transgender actor playing a cisgender character, they're going to lose their fucking minds when they find out that there are actual transgender characters in One Piece that they don't even know about because they didn't bother to do the fucking research.
So yeah, this is actually literally just them. It's John F. Trent showing that he doesn't give a fuck about the content that's he's talking about. It's literally just the alleged ideology behind it, right? Like that, it's all.
Well, I mean, you
ideologically
go to the
driven
bottom of
fucking-
that article, it just goes into the religious shit again.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a propagation site. All it does is push propaganda, and
I
the
mean,
idea. Yeah, go ahead, Dane.
Somebody said being gay is not a sin. No, it is not. Sodomy is, and the show promotes sodomy. Like, well, this is in March. I don't know what show he's talking about, but like, fucking.
I'm gonna assume The Last of Us, maybe.
Probably, yeah, I guess so.
That was around the time Last of Us came
but
out.
like that's a post from Vito. Good shit from Vito, man. It kind of goes against. I mean, it doesn't really go against anything, but like, it's good that he's making this stuff known that he's sees things this way. I don't know if he's been moved on some issues or what, but like, just real quick, here's some other. These are classic shitting into diapers headlines. Like this one, in hindsight, what the fuck does it even mean?
We know so little about this show.
So grooming your children by having a black woman as the lead character.
You know what it is? I think I remember now that this is the one that John Campia kind of went off about that one time, because there's going to be I think a drag performer or something like that.
Yeah. So Shea Coulee is going to be in it, but we have no idea who the character is, what the character is going to be like. So we don't even know if the character will be portrayed as gay, as a drag queen. We have no idea at this point. So it's immediate jumping on like this idea that a gay person being in a show, regardless of the role they're playing, is somehow grooming children.
Well, also, have they said that the MCU prior to this has been done any grooming? Because if so, then this article is full of shit, because this is going to be its first attempt.
Yeah, and it's not even out yet, meaning that they haven't done any grooming before this, according to Bounty Hunter Comics.
I'll have to correct them in case they have any content out there accusing.
Well, I mean, they definitely have journalistic integrty, so.
Yep. Then there's this classic, the mutilation shit with the look at that flag up there that just promotes mutilation, I guess.
Father Mike Smith.
These fucking crack me up, even though they're fucking disturbing. Like, what a convoluted piece of shit headline to try to, just force some religious propaganda into people's faces. And then, of course, then there's good old Bishop Michael Burbage.
Yeah, Michael Burbage.
We all love the whenever we think about our nerd news, we're like, well, what does Burbage say about it, man?
Yeah. What's Archbishop Burbage thinking?
What does Burbage think of the FNAF movie?
Well, hey, has he given his thoughts on One Piece yet?
Yeah.
But
I mean, just the fact that they I mean, we know they lie anyway. I've called them a garbage site from the beginning, but just the fact that they are insisting that a trans person who plays a character that is not explicitly anything is somehow ideology goes to show that they have, what integrity people might have thought they had is non-existent. They have none.
The bounding in I mean, we've said this before, but they exist as a framework for supporting the grift content, the propaganda on YouTube, the chud content, because like they, whenever the chuds on YouTube aren't using them as a source, they typically use them as their sole source, unless they get, every once in a while they might use Cosmic Book News, but otherwise Bounding into Comics is using the YouTubers as a source. And in some cases, as here, it's just a fucking cycle, a human centipede of bullshit.
I wonder if they sit down and wonder or write their articles based on whether or not Nerdrotic or any of these other guys will read their stuff on camera.
Oh, absolutely. I can guarantee you that's where they get most of their promotion.